All right, boys. I've been sober for 6 weeks. Sober from booze, sober from cocaine, sober from anything else. The main culprit really was the booze for me, but that definitely would lead to the occasional phone call. Would you drop a half, please? Do you take bank transfer? Can you drop me at a cash point type conversation? And one thing I've realized in these 6 weeks is most people have an alcohol problem, but it's not bad enough for anybody to intervene. It's not bad enough for them to think they need to make a change. And therefore, this crippling issue they face probably every weekend just goes unnoticed. And no one does or says anything. In fact, the people around them say, "You're young, you don't drink that often. It's not like you're drinking first thing in the morning. You're not an alcoholic," which means they feel that they can carry on. And that, I think, is a really dangerous thing, because I was that classic case of someone who drank probably every weekend, normally just a Friday, sometimes a Saturday too. Sometimes I'd chuck in a Wednesday, but I was never boozing every day. I was never craving alcohol first thing in the morning, or any of those trademark sort of alcoholic symptoms that we think would apply to us were we to be an alcoholic. The reason I think that's so problematic is because it just means that then you go on drowning, really struggling, but it's never bad enough for anybody or you to do something about it. Maybe that's you, which is why I'm making this video, because I know that any form of alcohol consumption is limiting your potential in some way. It is terrible for the waistline, it's terrible for the mind, it's terrible for the bank balance, it's terrible for relationships, friendships. It turns you into a loudmouth, stupid twat. Probably makes you get in fights. And even if it does none of those things, you're still not performing at your best on that fateful Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon. And therefore, whether or not you think you have an alcohol problem, if you find it hard to quit, you probably have some kind of alcohol problem. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that literally everyone? Yeah, exactly. There's a train, one sec, fucking rude. Yes, that is quite literally everyone, especially in the UK, especially in Europe. I went to Thailand, everyone was just as bad there. Maybe it's global, but I've long held the opinion that most people have a problem with alcohol. But most people's alcohol problem is, as I say, not bad enough. So we then just are allowed by ourselves and the people around us to carry on. And that was me. And I would enable their words, those being, "You're only young, you're not an alcoholic, everything's fine, you're all good, it's important to enjoy a few beers with your mates," to keep me in that cycle for years and years and years. I'm only 26, but it's nearly 10 years of consistent weekend debauchery. And it was fine when I was 18, because I'd just bounce back like the little spring chicken I was and be absolutely fine the next day. In fact, everything would have this haze of humour and silliness to it. Hangovers were actually pretty fun, because you'd sit at brunch with your mates, all in hysterics, at nothing, just feeling like ass together. And for some reason, that was actually quite fun. But then there came this day when it really stopped being fun. And it started being really fucking horrible, at least for me anyway. And the last time I drank and faced a hangover, I was texting this suicide helpline. Maybe it's called Shout, can't really remember. And really, really contemplating killing myself. And that wasn't the first time that alcohol led to suicidal thoughts either. I remember fucking most taxis home after a night out in the last year. I've been on the motorway with the Uber guy thinking, I'm just gonna fling myself out of this and hope I die. But I don't feel like that when my week doesn't involve alcohol. And this, I know this isn't some revolutionary discovery. Man learns that alcohol makes him sad. I mean, it is a depressant, but I do still think most of us forget that. We forget how problematic it can be, even if we're not problematic enough to be seen as problematic. You know what I mean? There's this quote from this song, and it's like, "Oh no, what are you to do? Is it true that the blue of your blues ain't as blue as the blues?" Stick with me, because what I'm saying is, it's kind of the same for things like depression. What are you to do if the blue of your blues aren't as blue as the blues? Meaning you're sad, but you're not sad enough for people to consider you to be clinically sad. Therefore, no one's going to do anything. So what are you supposed to do? And it's the same with alcohol. What are you to do when everyone around you is telling it's fine, but you're dying on the inside? You got to stop. You got to stop. But that comes with its own set of challenges, which I'm in the middle of right now. One of those being you forget that a large part of the personality you now understand to be yourself is actually you under the influence. I thought I was a super confident, outgoing guy that could chat to anyone and I would be funny and way party boy, wow, I'm so extroverted. In these 6 weeks, I haven't been that at all. In these 6 weeks, I've been in social situations, feeling how I felt when I was 12 years old, anxious in the fucking high school dinner hall, thinking, God, everyone's looking at me, everyone hates me, I hate myself, where do I put my hands? I've got a spot on my nose. That kind of anxiety where I was out at the pub and bumped into a group of lads that I went to school with and they were in the typical popular kid group, and I haven't given a shit about that since I left school. But there I am, finding myself in that environment, uncomfortable, like I was when I was a kid. And I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, well, I know what's going on here. I've never been in this environment sober. The last time I was 12. And that's kind of like the pattern I'm noticing, is that you forget how much shit you've buried under beer and maybe a bag and maybe a fucking WKD at the beginning of your drinking career. You forget how much of what you felt then was pushed to the back of your brain by alcohol, and you haven't really had a break since. It's probably been every weekend since. Maybe you did dry Jan, maybe you had a fucking sopping wet Feb. You're still on the booze train. You haven't really figured out who the fuck you are as an adult without the complication of the booze. And you don't really expect that when you go sober. Maybe this isn't a universal thing. Maybe this is just me and my weird brain, but you don't expect it to be like that. You think the hardest thing you're gonna face is you really fancy a pint. Oh no, can't have one. In the same way that, is this gonna fall off? In the same way that when you're on a cut, you really fancy a fucking cake. I'm on a cut right now. And I'm obviously on no booze, so I'm basically kicking my own ass, but I've still got nicotine. I'll make a video on that when I quit. Just snuff though, I'm not smoking. I also have ADHD, so I forget a lot of what I'm trying to say. Also makes quitting things hard. The point I'm trying to make is, that was the point. You think that the hardest thing is gonna be craving a pint. Actually, the hardest thing is figuring out who the fuck you are without beer. And throughout this journey, there have definitely been 1 or 2 occasions where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just have a few beers. And then that, you start seeing the alcohol craving part of your brain as this like separate entity, like this little monkey. And you got to think, like, all that monkey wants to do is have a pint, or it might be a ciggy or a bag or something, whatever it craves. Maybe there are different monkeys in your head for different things. And that monkey will do anything it can to convince you to satisfy it. So it will tell you shit like, yo, there's a wasp. It will tell you shit like, but are you sure you want to go forever without drinking? What about weddings? Drink at a wedding. It will be like, oh, you are only 26, you know. Maybe you could do this when you're 30. Maybe why don't you quit when you have kids, or like around then? We could have a few more years. It just does shit like that. And there's other shit it does that I can't remember. But you start to recognize that it's just a monkey, mate. Like if there was a little talking monkey stood here right now telling me I should go and have a pint, I wouldn't listen to it, because I'd be thinking, how the fuck are you talking, for one? But also, you're a monkey, bruv. You don't think in terms of logic and reason. You think eat, shag, shit, sleep. And it's kind of the same. Like this monkey in our brain is just purely dopamine driven, and we're not. So we're just constantly fucking fighting with the monkey, like. Any other lads who have ever had any experience with martial arts, you just find that you just can't help but all the time. That's like me and the monkey every fucking Friday, man. I was about to say I hate that little bitch, but I don't even know if that's healthy. Maybe you shouldn't hate that. Maybe this is the shadow that Carl Jung talks about. We have to integrate the shadow and accept that it's part of us. What he meant was monkey. Carl Jung's The Monkey. I'm just chatting shit here now, but you get the point, boys. I just want to chat more about this, because the whole sobriety thing is one that whenever you hear a YouTuber or someone has made a video about sobriety, you just assume they must have been a raging meth head, crackhead that was sucking dick for rollies. Nothing wrong with that, I will add. Maybe there is something wrong with that, but not the cock-sucking part. To each their own. But you assume that they must have been bad. But I'm making this video to tell you that it doesn't have to seem that bad to be bad. Maybe it's bad enough. Maybe you're bad enough. Maybe it's time to do something about it. How exactly? The best thing that's helped me is just reading books. Easy Way to Quit Drinking, Jason Vale, Kick the Drink Easily, Annie Grace or Annie Grant. I don't think Annie Grant, I think that's someone I actually know. Annie Grace, one second. This Naked Mind, Annie Grace or Grant. And you gotta just throw yourself, you gotta balls deep it, mate. You've gotta just envelop yourself in sobriety culture. And the best thing I did this time around is not go to the pub at all for the first 4 weeks. Because I just went to my girlfriend's house, stayed there every weekend. Because I don't want to drink when I'm with her. Probably because I'm not bored. But when I'm bored, I'm like, oh, could have a beer. You don't want a beer, you're bored. Maybe you need to be less bored. Maybe you need to find a bit more of what excites you, what fires you up, so you're not thinking you have to press silent on the board button all the time. Press mute on the board button all the time, whatever. That's it. But hopefully this resonates with someone. Hopefully, whether you're already further along than me in sobriety, or you're thinking about it, or maybe you are watching this on a Sunday and you're where I was, texting that suicide helpline and wondering how the fuck you're going to get out of it. You will get out of it. You will get out of it. I'm not trying to make out I'm an expert on the subject. I'm only 6 weeks in, but I've done this about 4 or 5 times before, at least 2 months each, and I'm still trying, and I will get there. And this is it. I firmly believe that. But we're good, man. I know where you are. I've been there. I get it. Not everyone's going to get it. People will tell you shit you don't need to hear. Listen to me. You're good, but it's time to make some changes. Anyway, boys, if you enjoyed, do hit like, subscribe. And if you already did that and you've seen my videos before and you're like, what the fuck is this? Well, let me just tell you, I hated the videos I was making before. Studio, script, sit down, just talk about masculinity, try and be this, Andrew Tate type fucking content. It's not me, and I was just doing it to try and fucking, I did believe in it, but I don't know if I even believe in all that shit now. It's not to say I don't, it's just I don't know how important it is, and instead I've realised that there's far more to me as an individual than just talking about men need to be more like men. There's sobriety, there's ADHD, there's the gym, there's relationships, there's career, there's business, there's everything. And I got a lot of thoughts, and I don't want to pigeonhole myself into a very small subsection of content that I don't even know if I care about. What I care about is you, building a relationship with you. I care about us being friends, me helping you get to where you want to be, but also sharing the fact that I'm not perfect either. And this format, with this cool little camera, going on a walk and just chatting to you like my mate, makes me feel good. Hopefully it enables you to resonate a bit better as well. Anyway, boys, I'm going to leave you there. Love you. I'll see you soon. Who knows what the next one will be about. I'll do more sobriety videos and some other shit. We'll see. Meant to say bye at the end of that one. Forgot, so goodbye, brother.